It all started on a cold winter of 2006. I turned on my PlayStation 2, but something went wrong. It was not Spyro, but another game. Without knowing, I was looking at the most iconic intro of the video game industries. Without knowing, I was going to play GTA 3. I pressed triangle to get in the car, and for some reason, I had this strange feeling of freedom. It was revolutionary. This game became an actual turn of my life. After that, I fell in love with GTA series and open world game in general. That's why having a sense of freedom was the way to go. I remember spending hours and hours on GTA San Andreas on PS2, but after 1 year playing the same game, I broke this sense of freedom. I was kinda bored and was like Jim Carrey in the Treatment show. It was the same, even when playing some new open world games, something was really missing. I wanted to discover something new. That's so I used to go into my dad's computer to look up for cheat codes or watch some videos to make my gameplay more fun and more entertaining for me. And that's how I found moddings. It was fresh and new and gave me the sense of freedom, and I was so happy to find that you can mod a game on PC. And that's how I started to install GTA San Andreas on my dad's computer and started to play. But the problem is that I just did not know how to install mods. It was a freaking mess. I was like, wait, what the fuck? How do you put that file here? But I don't have img file here. So yeah, it was pretty difficult. But I remember the first time I installed that freaking Ferrari Testarossa. It was the best day of my life. That's how I started gaming on a PC. After installing my first mod, I used to feel like Hackman, you know? But everything stopped when I wanted to install GTA 4 on my dad's computer. I remember like my dad said to me, "What the fuck did you do?" And I was like, "Nothing, Dad, I just installed GTA 4 and your computer just crashed. It's not my fault." Then he just looked straight at me and said, "You're not gonna play on this anymore." I was so scared. I was going to get my ass kicked, but finally it did nothing, and thanks God it did nothing. And 2 days later, I was able to play again. I used to play a lot, but it was not my computer. My dad was working a lot, and it was something very painful for me because I will wait like 2 hours just to play 20 minutes sometimes. My dad's computer was not very powerful too, so I didn't want to break it and get my ass kicked again, you know? So yeah, not 3 months later, I decided to that every 2 years that my mom used to give me for food was going into my economic box. And yeah, that's how I started to have some money to buy my dream computer. When I bought this computer, it was Christmas in summer until I tried to run GTA 4 and the computer turned it off by itself. I tried to fix it by myself, that the problem was my GPU, like my GPU was disabled. But I didn't give up on this shitty laptop. Low spec gamer didn't exist in 2011, so I had no choice but to find a game that can run on this machine. And after a while, it pays off, because I found a very special game that changed my life forever. Oh, good old Battlefield 3. I can still remember the hype about this game. This was one of the major game of the year. This game was so ahead of its time in terms of graphics that some people today can believe it was made in 2011. Today this game aged like wine. It was not perfect, but it was one of the pillar of video games industries and a proof of the next generation experience. But at the same time, another mind-blowing title was going to hit the market. I'm talking about Minecraft. This game was looking back at Lego is to having get them into a virtual world. In 2011, this game was mind-blowing for a lot of people. Who doesn't know Minecraft live in a cave, seriously? So yeah, I was looking like at some videos on YouTube and that's how I found about the game. Started to gain a lot of popularity back in 2011. Anyways, I used to love like making buildings on this game. Then I started to go into multiplayer, and actually it was my first real online experience and my first social experience with people. It was mind-blowing for me to press T on the chat. So that's how I made friends back in the day. Anyways, many years later I started to get into buildings and creating stuff because I was bad at PvP. I've come to conclusion that building and creativity was more appropriate for me than fighting. So yeah, it's just a pretty long story. A really pretty long story. Fast forward to 2015, my build started to be popular and some architects wanted to talk to me. They were pretty cool and I became a task builder for them. And for Minecraft short film studio called Studio Phantomine, it was awesome for me to meet these people. I finally became an actor and played some roles, but I'm talking about them because before meeting them I was way too shy, and I used to have anxiety too. It was pretty horrible for me, but yeah. They like tried to help me and they actually helped me to become a little bit self-confident, and that's how one day when I was playing with common blocks on Redstone server for the first time, I was not really scared to get some help, and yeah, that's how a guy came on my way and helped me to learn common blocks. Oh Christ, why I'm talking like that?
I don't like some more coffee.
So yeah, to recap, a guy came on my way and gave me his help. He was named Ridon. He was 14 years old like me, and we actually talked for hours and we became friends. We became best friends. Many weeks later, we started to meet up, play Skywars, and I was pretty happy to have a new friend. And what was cool about this guy is that he was a genius with redstone and common blocks. I remember asking to learn redstone and common blocks stuff to him, and he started to help me because I used to have no clue how all of this works. And many months later I started to understand how common blocks works, and it was a time where common blocks creation started to be popular. Aja Minecraft and GSN28 became a real inspiration to me. As a builder and a YouTuber that used to make videos about building a city, the idea of making a game started to appear again. But a game in a game, that's impossible, right? Yeah, but not in Minecraft. Minecraft is more than a game. Minecraft is an experience of creativity and something where you can achieve the impossible. Having the inspiration from other YouTubers and the rise of 3D resource pack, I saw an opportunity to turn my simple city map into a full-blown open world experience. The problem? I didn't know how 3D modeling works. I mean, why this is pink? Why it's not working like the fucking tutorial? Wait, why I'm doing all of this when I can simply do that? Hold up. Can I? Yes! In October 2015, I said no more copy and paste. I found out about MC Model Creator, and after many weeks I managed to make my own rotors back. And I was really happy, to be honest. It was so cool. I could see and share my own creation with others, and this made me realize how happy I could be by accomplishing the impossible. I started to look over new horizons, and I saw Minecraft as an opportunity to learn new knowledge and express my creativity. I had that strange wow feeling stuck in my head and guided me to create the coolest project I've ever done. After making a resource pack for the first time, I had a strange wow feeling stuck in my head. I was looking up to have the same feeling again. That's why I started a big project named A Lost War. Basically, it was Battlefield but in Minecraft. I wanted to have some vehicles, weapons, and with my knowledge of making a 3D resource pack, I could actually make some custom items, but I had no knowledge about modding. And it turned out that to make mods in Minecraft, you need to code. So
Hello guys, welcome to the first video tutorial on Java programming for beginners.
2000 years later.
learning Java was definitely a pain in the butt, but I finally fixed everything and added tons and tons of features until my portable computer was not able to run Minecraft anymore. Finally, the project was almost done, and that wow feeling came back. I was so happy to see my project coming to life and play it with friends, but weeks later, everything just stopped for me. In November 2015, I had a paralysis and I was hospitalized. I was really worried about the future, and I started to be depressed because I had that loneliness that made things even harder to surpass. I was thinking about my project, my friends, and most important about all the people that have disease and worse problem than me. I didn't have to complain what my paralysis, because I remember talking to people who knew that some days they won't be alive anymore. At this moment, my perception of life shattered into 1,000,000 pieces, and to surpass my depression, I discovered the computer room and became the only distraction that I had for a long time. I'm talking about that because one day I started to look out for free games and came over on internet. I downloaded game and it was a blast. I played internet every day at the hospital. Again, I was reading the description, and what impressed me the most is that the game was made by 16-year-old teenagers, and I was like 15 at the time. When I knew that, I was blown away. I started looking up how we made the game and found out about Unity, and I was more blown away. I don't know how to say that, but I had the dream to make my own projects for a long time. I started to make my project in Minecraft but failed, and this was like, I don't know, this was like a message to continue my project and to achieve my dreams. So I downloaded Unity without any hesitation, and that's how my journey started.
Nice.
Et bienvenue sur ce tuto. Donc on va attaquer aujourd'hui les well colliders et comment fonctionne une voiture en 3D. C'est un sujet qui a été
Hello everybody and welcome back to a Unity tutorial.
And that's basically how I just started, by watching some tutorials from French YouTube channel called Unity for Noobs, making a car controller and downloading a car from the 3D warehouse website. By the way, the 3D model of the car came from someone called Mondum. Go check him because he made pretty sick stuff. I was ready to start my new project and apply my ideas into Unity. Just imagine a game where you're a police officer and put all the game mechanics from Stockholm, GTA and Battlefield into one big mess, and you have my game. I remember watching all the 12 episodes about vehicle physics, and after 3 days of work I had my first car, like you're saying. I'm just repeating myself to make you understand, explain for the people that want to do the same thing than me, people that are insane like me. And I could drive around a map, totally legally downloaded from the 3D warehouse. Yeah, legally downloaded. They were basically started. But I was pretty happy, and yes, this is the first video I ever recorded. It's so old and my game looks so shitty, but I guess at the time of creating this I was like, Mom, look at this, I did this. I was so happy, and it was something new. And after that I was thinking about making a map, because you know, stealing stuff from other people is bad, okay? I was thinking about making a map, and I started to have an idea to set my game in 1990s New York. I never visited New York, but it's so iconic. There's plenty of movies from Home Alone to Die Hard, and the 90s are so memorable, so underrated, that it became an obviously good choice for a map. I did the 3D modeling software and learned that 3D Warehouse is actually made by a 3D modeling company, and they do have a software called SketchUp, so I decided to go for it and download SketchUp. SketchUp was pretty cool for me because of its simplicity and its use in architecture. I really liked the Twin Towers, so I started to look for archives on the internet, learn about the towers, how they looked like, how tall they were, and many things about it. And I'm not gonna lie, I got really nostalgic and sad at the same time because they don't exist anymore. So my goal was to recreate them at perfection to make people like me happy again and have a kind of memorial to respect this kind of destroyed architecture and to respect the people that died on 9/11. I've learned a lot about the World Trade Center and started to look for a 2D plan of the complex. I imported it into SketchUp and worked on it. I started modeling the towers and then the plaza and the roads and the terrain all around it. After 2 weeks of hard working and motivation, I finally imported the small map on Unity, and it was beautiful. The Twin Towers' shadows and reflection over the water made me think that my map will look wonderful once it's finished. I was just smiling and admiring the horizon, and I wanted to look around, but I'm pretty much stupid and I started with a freaking car. But I don't want to make a fucking racing game.
An important element in everyone's participation in the online races of Gran Turismo.
Hey, you're finally awake.
So I started to follow a tutorial, downloaded a character creator because I'm bad at making humans, and created my character with the shittiest animation possible, and implemented one of my most complex and most precious mechanic, getting into a car. And after many tries and many problems, I managed to have a good result. Now that I had the possibility to switch between vehicles and had my basic implementation of my gameplay features, I spent an entire weekend fixing bugs and came back to SketchUp so I could start working on adding more roads, new buildings, and started documenting myself for making the most accurate replica of New York. Then I came back to work on my vehicle physics. I wanted to upgrade it, and you see in newer video games there's something I never found out realistic, and it was the car crash. I hated when cars had just simple visual and physics. I mean, come on, we are in 2022. After googling for a bit, I found some stuff about vertex deformation made by a guy named Catlike Cutting. Thanks to his tutorial, vehicle deformation was possible. This guy created a full documentation about physics, and I could use his learning to work on my deformation car crash system. The first try and test were tricky, and the car was turning into a pixel of cubes. I started to have a shit tons of problem and questionable physics. I updated the car model through Blender and it worked like a charm. I was so freaking happy when I saw that I had a slight dent on my car. I got a satisfaction that I never had unless I was fucking someone. 2017 for me was the most important year of the game, simply because it's the one where I worked like crazy. I started to work on a map and just imported this small image that I found on Google, scaled it to 124 and put my buildings on it. In November 2017 I was pretty happy with my creation, but you see the 3D model of the vehicle was not made by me. So I started to make my own car design.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
After this shitty 3D model, I tried to improve myself because this looks awful, and I worked on remaking a bootleg version of the Ferrari that I had before. I started with drawing the car on Photoshop, then modeling it on SketchUp. The final result was this recognizable yet original vehicle. I was pretty happy and actually gave it a name, Gattopardo, because Gattopardo is cheetah in Italiano. It's also a reference to GTA. So yeah, I think explaining everything by words is gonna be pretty tough, so I'll just let you admire this small time lapse and see what I did the entire year. We are now the 26th April 2018 and the report of my map is almost complete. But you see, I didn't understand the concept of optimization until now. My computer was fucking dying because of the number of objects that I had to render. The twin towers alone were eating 3 gigs of RAM. And jet fuel surely doesn't melt steel beam, but steel beam surely does melt my GPU.
I woke up to go get me a cold pop, and then I thought somebody was barbecuing. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire.
2019 was my most productive year. I've made new 3D models and also new vehicles, scrapped many assets, and learned to create and code my own stuff. And added ragdolls. And let's talk about fucking ragdolls, because ragdolls are a freaking pain. After all of that, kept adding features like buildings, details, and optimization for my game. And when doing all of this, I started to reach areas like the Bronx, and I found out something that I didn't know. New York looked like a shithole back in the 80s. Some places like the South Bronx looked bombed, and it felt like a war was going on. I was like, is this really the United States that we all knew and loved? I knew that 1980s New York wasn't fun, but I didn't know that it was this fucked up. I was shocked to see people living under the poverty line on a country that seemed civilized. And looking at how it was, I decided to change my story of the good police officer that tried to catch the bad guys and make something more mature to denounce the police crimes, violence, and all that stuff that was going on in the 80s and 90s. All of this violence reminded me of my childhood. As a child, I lived in a country where terrorism created a kind of civil war. Car bombing happened in my country. Police violence, mistakes, and excessive use of force by the military was common. Entire villages were getting destroyed, and people in the city were afraid that the country will return like unto its dark age, which was the 1980s civil war, where more than 200,000 people died, and living in a period where 1,000 people died between 2007 and 2008. So when I saw the Bronx destroyed, I decided to take my personal experience to showcase how war can be cruel. By having this kind of settings and having a story where New York will fall in a civil war, the player will have the possibilities to explore a zone where you can scavenge, make missions, and have a complete freedom while still being realistic. You want to kill people? You can do it. Yes, it's a war crime, but let's be honest, unless everybody saw it, you'll be probably judged in 50 years. Nah, I'm joking. All of your actions will have consequences. On the psychological sides of your character to the people hating you for what you have done. It all depends on you and your environments. And talking about environments, let's talk about the open world. In the story of John, some zones are completely safe and others are hostile. Every zone have their own level of difficulties. And the more you go away from this city, the more sad and depressing and also difficult my game will be. Also, the more you are a good cop, the more you know people, make new missions, and have new weapons. Being a good guy also means being vulnerable by others. You can get ambushed by your own bodies, so you need to be careful when walking on the streets. Prepare to be killed by snipers, try to save people, try to prevent war crimes, execution, rapes, and many other things. By the way, if you're really interested about the story of my video game, I will probably make a video about it. Just tell me in the comments and we'll do anything to help you. And I've worked on character design that are totally not inspired by someone. I swear my game is gonna be freaking polemic, but I don't care. Anyways, it was the end of 2019. Things slowed down in 2020. I just fixed bugs and upgraded the graphics and then stopped working on it because I had coffee disease. I spent my whole years trying to recover from this. We are finally in 2022 because I had to study in 2021. I didn't put so much effort into my game except for new animation like character blade and graphic and modeling. I didn't do much because I was sick most of the time, and now that I feel better, I decided to retake my project and showcase it to you. I will showcase the weapons, the new vehicles, and how I work and code my own stuff in the future. I hope that you liked this video, and if you have any suggestion, just write in the comment section. Thanks for staying until the end, and see you next time.